So, Sharada, I know that you have a lot going on. You have your online groups, you have a lot of followers, and I believe you're also taking a trip here coming up. Tell our viewers a little bit more about that.
Yes, I'm very excited. In August, I am partnering with another friend of mine who is a zesty sage. She is an expert in the wellness and longevity world, and I am partnering with her to bring some spirituality and some conscious creation to her wellness retreat. We're going to Costa Rica in the middle of August for 6 days and 5 nights of transformation. It's going to be hikes in nature, walks on the beach, butterflies, waterfalls, and a whole lot of breathing and yoga and getting to know yourself. So I'll give a link to that if people are interested, they can check out. I also have a thriving YouTube channel, Tools That Transform, where we do meditation and celestial tools for conscious creation, i.e. manifesting your heart's desires. And we're under a construction project there. Things are about to change and get much more expansive.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks for that information. I appreciate you sharing it. And again, you being here has been a wonderful opportunity.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a delight.
I hold still, I let them speak. I find the parts that feel fear and pain. Light inside me, light inside me. I come home, I come home. Light inside me, light inside me. Every wounded part belongs within the whole.
Hey viewers, we're picking up the episode where we left off in the last episode and hope you enjoy the continuation of this. So here we go. So how do you see the intersection of the neurophysiology with just the energy of our spirit? And because to me, emotions exist. It's kind of like I see us as an interface. The nervous system of the brain is an interface with the energy. Because when I do hypnotic work with people and I'm helping them define their emotions, times, places, memories, I'm always asking them to fill that place in their body. I'll say, feel in your body where you stored that memory, that feeling, that emotion, that belief system. And once we help them to heal that and bring it into their light, then I say, now fill that place with light. In other words, move that energy there and don't leave a vacuum. We want to fill that. So now we create that flow again. And sometimes it works there. So how does yoga and your philosophies explain that interface between the energy of spirit and being and the nervous system that we have within our body?
Well, now we're diving into my dissertation world, and I'll try not to be too dissertation-y. At the basic level, our beautiful nervous system is an energetic system. And then when we go beyond the physical, we are now talking about the world of vital life force, and that's the world of prana. Prana is the subtle energy that animates the entire universe. And there is a process through our subtle energy systems and our bodies. In yoga, we see ourselves as existing in 5 different layers of energy. And we can work with those layers of energy, and that's our subtle nervous system. It is when the life force energy connects with the body through the breath that we can engage that prana much more deeply. That energy is what we in advanced yoga develop the ability to work with throughout our lifetimes. Our whole practice is about developing our ability to bring conscious awareness of that spiritual energy into our physical body. Now, I will say that is my branch of yoga practice. I come from a true Samkhya branch of yoga. There is a hatha yoga branch, which comes much later. Hatha yoga, often said hatha. Hatha means to balance. Hatha means to hit. Hatha yoga is primarily what we see focused on as the physical part of yoga. The spiritual part begins to bring you into understanding the subtle energy of how the prana comes in and how you work with it. But it all boils down to, If you feel good, your prana is working. And if you don't feel good, well, you may want to work on your prana.
So how do you see finding balance with emotions rather than the elimination as often we see in this hierarchical world we live in?
My guru told me many years ago that emotions are meant to come up and move through, and that we get stuck because we let them come up and we hold on to them.
Right.
Particularly the ones that don't feel that great. And emotion is information, just as you said. It's an opportunity for you to stop and go, oh, I would like to feel more of this and attract more of these kinds of feelings into my life. And with these good feelings come the love that I want, and the career that I want, and the money that I want, all of that. Or I'm feeling lower than the belly of a snake, as we say in the South, and I can choose to hang on to that. Oh, yes, I'm going to feel more of this. Yes, I am right. They wronged me. What they said was mean and not okay. And I am right. I'm going to hold on to my anger. Yes, you may do that. And you will get more of that feeling. And with that feeling comes some things you may not want, like ill health. My chronic pain was tied up in my anger over things that happened to me when I was young. And I could keep being angry, or I could choose to say, this came to me for a reason. What does it have to teach me? And when I figure that out, I will let it go. Let it move through.
That leads to forgiveness, because I think that's a big thing that a lot of people hold on to. And yoga was beautiful for me to learn how to forgive. So speak to that connection on how you can literally take your mind, your body, your soul, using your emotions and your thoughts to weave them right into how to let go and forgive.
Yes. Another beautiful thing that I was told very young, a miracle is a change in perception. Another way to say it, a change in perspective. Another way to say it, a change in point of view, my guru said. When you look at something, you may see that it makes you feel bad, and you have a whole story about that. I had a story about that doctor when I was young, and that doctor was the worst doctor that ever breathed the breath of life, didn't deserve to have me as a patient. Oh, it was a story. And I felt angry and self-righteous about it. And then I got a little wiser. I let go of some of that anger in my nervous system. And I realized that that doctor was a gift that kept me from having osteoarthritis. Because he said, keep going this direction and I can promise you osteoarthritis. And I said, well, I know I don't want that. So I won't go that direction. I didn't know where I was going to go, but fortunately it was on a yoga mat. And that helped me clear that and see this doctor for the great gift in my life, a life-saving gift.
Yeah, it really is interesting if you go back and look at the really pivotal, perhaps, storms in your life. And if you do reshape them and reframe them from a different perspective to see if that storm had never happened, you would not be where you are right now. And that's why I said earlier in the show, there is no bad. If you reshape it, you reframe it and say, this is happening for me. And part of Kabbalah is when somebody cuts you off in traffic. We spoke about this before on a show. If somebody makes you angry, instead of wanting that energy and immediately getting mad, you pause and you say, what a gift. What a gift that I can act differently. I can react differently. And I have to tell you, that has been the hardest thing I have ever had to put into practice in my life. But there have been moments where the rubber has really met the road. And I have had to say, this is good. Pause. This is good. And the minute I did that, it's like God just flooded into my life. And it was good. I immediately saw the benefits of what ultimately I likely would have seen weeks, months down the road. But I'm speeding up the process by immediately seeing it as good. And that is something that I wish I knew earlier in my life.
Yeah.
And I wish I could practice all the time. Human, and I mess up and I don't do it all the time. But when I do, I'm like, gosh, it's brilliant. It works.
Every moment you have the opportunity to begin again.
Yeah.
Every moment. And it really is, you know, I decided that a certain feeling that popped up through my body meant I was depressed. And that feeling would bubble up and I'd go, oh, I'm depressed. Here it goes again. And then I learned as I continued to move my body and to breathe and to heal, because yoga mat, I call a magic carpet. It was a magic carpet in my life. It opened me up to the possibility of being different. And it opened me up to a lot of different healing modalities. And both Dr. Eric and I share a love of hypnosis because it is the way, a very easy way to change your nervous system's point of view and quit letting that feeling be depression and let that feeling be, oh, I'm getting a signal from my body. It needs more rest. Oh, I'm getting a signal from my body. It needs to stretch. Oh, what we make that feeling state mean makes all the difference. And that's what we can change.
Well, and I think what you bring up there is really important too, because that's where I look at that idea of emotional specificity, that each emotion is trying to teach us something, tell us something, show us something, do something for us. And because we don't learn that when we're young, then we don't understand it when we're adults. And when we feel that feeling of failure says, oh, it's time to learn. Guilt says, oh, you might have done something to somebody else you need to fix, you know? So when we look at that and we recognize that the emotions are there for that purpose and we can move through it, literally move through it, and then emotionally move through it, that to me is the key. And, you know, one of the things you talked about is we have a chance to begin again. When I used to go to Haiti and do my talks, every time I do the same thing, I talk about revolution, because Haiti was one of the first countries also that found its freedom through revolution against the French.
Yeah.
And so often they feel like revolution is violence. And I know revolution is re-evolution. It is a restarting. And I'd walk down the center aisle of the room that I was in, and I'd just say, it's quiet so people to struggle. I say, the revolution starts in here. The revolution starts in here. And I'd have my translator whispering with me, and people would have to listen. I'm like, yes, struggle, because it's quiet voice inside that you want to start listening to and to hear that revolution. And that's what we're all saying today. And that's what we're saying for our lives. And that's what yoga teaches, is to re-evolve, refine your energetic flow. Understand that what you've been taught here wasn't to punish you. It was to give you the gift to find your place from light into darkness and find your way back to light again. And that is a gift to me that we are all offered, whether it's through yoga or whether it's through therapy or whether it's through hypnosis or whether it's through other movement exercise. We have 8 billion people in this world. And therefore, there are 8 billion different pathways home. And some are going to walk that path of yoga. Some are going to walk that path of different types of therapy. So realize that we all have our way to find our way home. And when you're one of those people who hasn't found the manifestation of being able to manifest the $7 million that you want, you know, then understand, then there's something else there for you that you maybe not be seeing, that you have abundance with and about. Because imagine if all 8 billion of us had $1 million, you know, it wouldn't mean anything then. It wouldn't be the same and mean the same. So that's where, again, I just want to bring that attention to really seeing that this is all unfolding for each of us, not just for some of us.
And the yoga path, it exists in, a system like other traditions too, because, you know, my guru Kali Ji, as we call her, well, when she had her experience, everything came online at once. That's a guru. Me, I had to take one packet at a time and work on that. And that was the packet of my physical health and my eating. And then I got on the mental part of the packet. And if you want to bring up the slide of the Yamas and Niyamas, that's rarely where the neuroscience really gets thick. It's the next one. Yes. So as you see, we have Yama, which literally means the restraints that you put on yourself so that you can interact with society in a healthy way. And then we have the Niyamas, which are the disciplines that you do to have that same healthy relationship with you. The first ethical principle in yoga is ahimsa, non-harming, non-violence. The second is honesty, satya, truth. Sat means truth. That means to be in integrity with who you are. Don't say one thing and do another. Don't tell the world that you're up to certain kinds of good when you really aren't. You'll be out of integrity and your nervous system will show it. Then there's satya, non-stealing, non-taking, non-wanting things that really aren't going to serve you. That means non-exploitation. Don't take other people's labor. Don't take animals' labor and productivity. It's non-taking that which is not yours. Brahmacharya is a tricky one because everybody defines that as celibacy and renunciation, but what it truly means is to live every step of your day in the realization of your divinity. How would you act if you were being your divine self? Would you eat that thing if you were taking care of your body? Would you think that thought about that person if you were truly being loving? And then we have aparigraha, which is non-attachment. And this is where it gets to be about your daily habits. Have you attached to negative emotions? I will raise my hand. When I was young, I was very attached to them. Are you grasping on to things that you know don't serve you and your world, holding on to beliefs and ideas that don't create a flourishing world? And these are the things, the thoughts that get you in to your life and how you live it, and they will naturally turn you in to the niyamas. Shuchao. Be clean, take care of your body, have clean thoughts and clean feelings. Santosha, commitment, be at peace. Be satisfied in your life. Don't always be a perfectionist and trying to make yourself more and more and more. Tapas. This is self-discipline, self-work. It means to transform yourself by creating heat in your body. What are the efforts that you put into creating mental health, creating emotional health, creating physical health? Then there's swadhyaya. And this is about turning in to study yourself, your own emotions. What is this emotion trying to give you? And this is where you look at your thoughts. And does that thought that I think that's not too kind and loving about my neighbor really serve my neighbor or me? Does it make me feel good? And then this is the high yogic principle. Ishvara pranitaya. Surrendering to the truth that you are so much more than what you see here. Expanding your consciousness. And these are the ethical principles that really create your strong, healthy nervous system to go with your strong, healthy body.
There's so much that you're talking about in your language that it reaches across these. It's not just about yoga. It's about life is yoga and yoga is life. I see Tara with a big smile on her face.
I mean, it's true. It's to sum it up. It's trying to be the highest version of yourself in every aspect of life. What is the highest version of you? And if it were easy, everyone would be able to do it, right? Like everyone would have $1 billion, like you said. But it's truly what is your body, your vessel, your soul able to attract at this moment? What are you able to hold?
Mhm.
And I love an analogy that says, you know, if you want $1 million, well, right now you have a 60-watt light bulb that's holding however much money you have. And you're asking for a 1,000-watt light bulb. Well, what happens if you put the 1,000-watt light bulb in the 60-watt bulb? It explodes, right? It doesn't work. So God's not going to give you something that you're not ready for, because it will destroy you.
Mhm.
So it is your job then to look and say, okay, God, how I want to receive. He wants to give you everything. I mean, that's what we're told. That's what I know to be true.
Mhm.
So in order for him to give you what you are due, what each one of us are due, it's your job to prepare yourself for those gifts.
Yes.
And that's where the work is. And if it were easy, we would all just be flooded with God's gifts.
May I share something that I received in deep meditation just a few weeks ago?
Absolutely.
It is the easiest thing in the world to embody the truth of who you are. It is much harder to be stuck and clinging to an untruth, a negative emotion, an uncomfortable attitude toward the world. Much harder to be stuck there. We will find that once we get over our fear of change, that's where we make it hard. Oh, I have to change. I have to change what I eat. I have to change how I breathe. Oh, change is hard. You're actually just letting go of who you are not and learning to become who you are. It's easy, much easier.
Yeah, again, easier said than, it takes practice, it takes discipline, it takes understanding. Yeah, 40 years, right? 4 decades. And I just did my last podcast on why people lie with my daughter as my co-host. And one of the questions I asked her, I says, who's the most important person that you might lie to in your life? And she's like, myself. And that's true, because often we're lying to other people so we can tell ourselves the lies, because we have that gap between our real, feel, and ideal selves. And we want to be seen a certain way. We want to be loved. We want to have things. We want to not be, we feel regrets that we don't want to feel the pain or strain of guilt and shame and failure, rather than saying, oh, these can teach me. And that's really the whole message through this is, embrace all that you are. You're already loved. There is nothing to be forgiven for and nothing to truly forgive, because we were created perfectly and imperfectly, in my views. And therefore, this is all, that's why I keep coming back to, this is school. This is school for each of us to learn our way back to what unconditional love is. And therefore, there are no bad or wrong or weak emotions, or bad or wrong or weak experience. It's all opportunity, as we began with the discussion, and we're coming near the end of this discussion. So I think, did you have a chant or something that you wanted to share?
Oh, I would be delighted to chant a beautiful mantra to help you clean out your vibrations. I come from a goddess tradition. My last name means goddess. And we see the divine feminine's work flowing. It's the energy that moves, the divine feminine is, flowing through the world. And there are things that get in our way. And we want to clean those obstacles out. And this is what Ganesha's chants do. Imagine a big elephant storming in, stirring up all the dust, and then flailing it all away with their big, beautiful elephant ears. Shuklam Parataram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavaranam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantayet. Shuklam Parataram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavaranam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantayet. Sarva Upashantaye.
Wonderful.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
May those vibrations bring balance to your nervous system.
And thank you for joining us and sharing your experience and wisdom and 4 decades of growth and evolution and revolution. Remember, revolution, as Gandhi, I think, revolution does not have to be violent. So it's that's the whole thing, is we can change without violence. And that's what I appreciate about your message. And one thing is that, again, I love being able to bring people together through all walks of life to see that we really have the same message. We really do, especially those who are seeking inner peace and inner growth. And then that helps us find collective peace and collective growth.
If a room in me
So
still shakes
until next
behind
time.
the door, I no longer turn away. I sit with it more. I send feelings of love and safety to the womb, to the child, and the whole evolving self starts to smile. Light inside me, light inside me. Every part comes home, every part comes home.